Going live. Greetings in the love and in the light of the One Infinite Creator. Today we are discussing Red Ray Root Chakra Energy Center. It is the primary chakra where energy enters the body, responsible for survival and sexuality. And now for today we will learn about what is the Red Ray Chakra, how to activate it, balance it, clear it, and those kinds of things. Okay, now for Bill's introduction. You'll have to unmute, Bill. Can't hear you for some reason.
Okay.
Oh, there,
Hello.
there. I can hear you now.
Welcome
Okay,
you
good.
Okay. You want to start over?
It's already streaming.
Okay. Hello. We welcome you to this Law of One podcast in the love and light of the One Infinite Creator. This is a teaching experiment founded on unity, harmony, and unconditional love. The topic covered today is Red Ray. We are grateful for those who listen to our teaching experiment. We thank those of LL Research who have channeled and continue to channel and produce spiritual information to this day. We thank those entities, the Confederation of Planets in the service of the One Infinite Creator, that provide the information we wish to discuss. It is our desire to serve through this experiment. We are attempting to learn a topic as a social memory complex. This means we desire to teach a topic as a unified and harmonious group. At this point, we wish to make it clear that we are not experts or authorities on any such topic we cover, and we are not infallible on what we have to say. We would ask that you use your own discrimination to determine whether the words and concepts we share with you have value in your spiritual journey at this time. If there are any that do not, we would ask you to lay them aside and think not a second thought about them, and use only the words and concepts that speak to your heart, that speak to your journey that you are on now, as we do not wish to be a stumbling block in your seeking. Thank you for being here with us. We start with Josh on the topic of Red Ray.
Thank you for the introduction there, Andrii and Bill. Thank you for watching this video. We'll discuss the Red Ray Root Chakra or Energy Center today. I pulled a few quotes as usual from the Confederation, from the entity known as Quo, and here's the first one from 1997. The first center we will simply summarize has to do with the issues of life and death, breathing, eating, the sexual polarity. These are the concerns of Red Ray. Next quote from 2017 is very similar. The Red Ray Energy Center being that which deals with the survival of the entity and the sexual reproduction of the entity, its survival, shall we say, as a species. So I feel that's pretty straightforward, explaining of the 7 energy centers, what the Red Ray entails and is involved with and touches in your experience, so to speak. The reason for opening the Red Ray, as Quo explains in this next quote, is to bring power through into the heart. There is not a direct connection between opening the Red Ray chakra and opening higher chakras. However, so that's the quote. And however, in order to open the heart, you can't have a fully blocked energy center below it. Otherwise, the prana and in-streaming energy would not be able to pass and activate the subsequent chakras. And since we're here in third density and to learn the lessons of love and to open our hearts, it's crucial that the Red Ray be functioning, unblocked, open, activated, etc., to aid and allow the heart chakra to open and thus aid us in our spiritual evolution. here in 2017, another quote is, you are aware that there is, as the foundation center, what we have called the red ray, that the red ray, if it is blocked, prevents activity from moving to a higher configuration. As a simple example, you may be aware, if you are in a state of fear, that you will not be able to engage in quiet, calm, inspiring interpersonal communication. That will be a possibility of exploring your selfhood that is blocked. So, as you could imagine, if you're running for your life and there's a killer after you or something, you're not going to just like stop to speak to someone on the side of the road as you're sprinting and talk in a calm and collected manner. So blocking the red ray prevents you from metaphorically dealing with other things that you would not be able to deal with, like anything while you're running for your life. You're just focused on running for your life. So once that's balanced, then you can kind of deal with, other mundane things that are less urgent. So, put out the fires before you go back to work or so on. And then my last quote here from 2000. We would quickly review the basic 7 energy centers we would suggest as a model for you to work with. The 7 centers are the 7 colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Each center has its domain, and together they are as the path which the infinite energy of the one infinite creator may travel, beginning with the red or base chakra. The first energy center that the incoming infinite light and love of the creator touches is the red ray energy center or chakra. To this energy center flow those issues that are the most basic: survival, the natural functions that are necessary for survival, such as sexual reproduction, the achievement of a food supply, and so forth. Those who are blocked in the red ray energy center have a straightened or narrow or low supply of energy moving throughout the rest of the energy system. Therefore, it is well, if you see some red ray blockage within yourself, to lay all other concerns aside while you work upon this all-important energy center. So it's, in my opinion, reiterating what I was describing. If part of your house is on fire, don't go back to mundane tasks, like put out the fire first. And for example, if there is some dire situation or some dire issue you're dealing with, the attention and focus and energy for all other things is going to be diminished by that bolder, more important, more dire, more urgent thing that is using some of your energy or resources to deal with. Whether it's, that applies anywhere, physically, anything you're engaged in, your work, your school, if you have some urgent pressing thing, it's going to diminish your proficiency and ability to handle other kind of side things, because your time and attention needs to focus on that one thing. So if we're here studying the law of one, trying to activate our energy centers, to crystallize our being, to let the love flow through us and the prana of the one infinite creator, we want to have a cleared, balanced, open red ray chakra. You could also think of it as like, I think last time I gave the example of the progressing pools. If you have a bottleneck from where one like pool of water spills over to the next pool of water, there's going to be a lot less water filling. And you want that heart chakra open, you got to fill up that heart chakra pool But if the red ray pool up here has a small bottleneck or a lot of debris blocking the spillway, it's going to take, is nearly impossible. It's going to take forever, or something has to be done to clear that blockage out of there to activate that green ray heart chakra, which is the goal of the STO entity here on our third density Earth, to continue our soul's spiritual evolution and reuniting with the one infinite creator, since all is one. And that's all I have for now. I'll come back to you later, and I'll pass it over to Bill for some more quotes. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh, for the illumination. I'm going to start off. I'm going to just start off by basically saying that the idea is we're working with an energy system, and all the to clear our energy system, especially the bottom three, the red, orange, and yellow, to get to the heart, we got to clear up these blockages. So we got to be able to keep this open so the light goes through it. And no energy system is more important than any other. They all need to be dealt with. And Kuo, August 25th, 2006, it says, "We lift you a beacon, and that beacon is yourself. We ask you to see yourself for the first time, clearly and lucidly. Light comes through you, not from you. There is no effort to being who you are. There is only the removal of the blockage from the passage of light." So that's talking about the importance of removing the blockages so the light can pass through us. It's they'll, in the Confederation, they kind of describe this process as the Kundalini, what they in Eastern yoga people have suggested. And in Living the Law of One, The Choice by Carla Ruckert on page 117, it says, "To accept ourselves is to relax our energy body so that the light may flow through these first three chakras and into the heart chakra." So accepting ourselves is crucial, and it is part of the red ray, is because we're not comfortable being here on planet Earth and being comfortable just being here. We're going to have a red ray blockage. So just basically accepting ourselves that we're here, we're a sexual being, and we're on planet Earth. And Code, December 16, 2002, reiterates this. It says, "When you are able to feel at home in your body and in this illusion to a degree where you are ready to express the energy available to you, then you will find both the thoughts and the red ray energy center will be easily discernible to you. And it will be far more easy to express any energy from any energy center." So we need to feel at home in the body and in this illusion. And then the red ray energy center will be easily discernible to you, which means you can keep it open and not block it. And then we can start to have the energy move through us. From Living the Law of One, again, page 120, I should say. "The rays or energy centers of the energy body are living entities which are constantly shifting in clarity, intensity of color, and rate of vibration. In appearance, all of the rays are described as being like flowers with their petals or like crystals with their regular facets." So this is just a visual description of the energy centers. And here's another one from Living the Law 1, page 121. Carla says, "The red ray energy center is described by the Ra group as being the foundation ray. And in Ra 40.3, Ra says, in first density, the red ray is the foundation for all that is come, is all for all that is to come. So the red ray is, like he says, it's the foundation. Continuing with Carla's quote, it is the first ray of the energy body which receives the incoming light energy from the earth. The creator radiates this light to the logos of our sun, which then radiates the individuated light energy to the earth, which radiates the light energy to us. The energy from the creator, logos, sun, and earth enters the energy body at the red ray, the foundational ray. And she goes on to say, the red ray energy center is located where the legs join at the base of the spine. Both the first and last chakras, red ray and violet ray, are readouts. The red ray is a starting readout of our vital and physical energy levels. And I'm going to continue out of Living the Law of One. And she says, that the red ray chakra is basically a readout does not mean that it is easy to keep the red ray open. Indeed, a lot of us get stuck with blockages at the red ray, either because our feelings about sexuality or our feelings about living on planet Earth. Sexuality and survivals are the energy which the red ray handles. Our most primal instincts reside in this chakra. And so, just getting back to all that, and I go to the Living the Law of One by Carla a lot because she explains a lot of this stuff in a layman's terms that we can all understand a lot more better. So, red ray is sexuality and survival, acceptance of the self. Are you okay being a citizen on planet Earth? Are you okay living on Earth? And that's it's a readout ray, the beginning readout, and then we just gotta try to keep it unblocked, which takes effort. Thank you, and on to Andrii.
Thank you, Bill. So yeah, we've had a good introduction so far on the red ray. So I'm going to get right into this quote here. 2008-05-10. What is not usually understood about red ray is that it is not only the ray of sexuality, but also the ray of survival. It is the ray in which you must either say yes or no to life itself. Many are those whose feelings of depression and unhappiness for various reasons has begun to shut down or at least narrow the red ray. Somehow, sharing those woes with another whose ears are open to listen begins to get the red ray open again, begins to make life seem good again. The colors brighten, energies lift, and the conversation goes on. So the point here is that the red ray is kind of as the root chakra. It's where all the energy is coming in. It is the if you're saying no to life, then you're basically the body is begins shutting down. And while this usually often leads to breathing difficulties, but it's also red ray oriented. So one of the ways of unblocking it is by saying yes to life, by gratitude work, having something worth living for. Now here's another one. 2004-09-05. This instrument was talking earlier about how she is able to feel earth energy and has been aware of the earth from her earliest memory. Becoming more and more aware of how earth energy feels is a very helpful thing for the earth as well as for you. That earth energy is, mechanically speaking, that medium through which the love and light of the one infinite creator moves through the soles of your feet up into your body. It rushes up from the soles of the feet right into the red ray, and directly from there, sequentially, through each chakra of the energy body. And when you are functioning well as an energy body, your chakras are balanced and open. Full energy is moving through into the heart, and that heart is staying open no matter what hits it, so that the output, no matter how difficult your catalyst may be, is an output of love, joy, and peace. So I think that's a beautiful statement there, and it also illustrates how that kind of energy is coming from the earth itself. And uh, one of the ways we can think about it is that the earth is one of the, say, children of God, or one of the manifestations thereof. In the LL archives, it's considered to be the sub logos. So the logos would be the galaxy, the sub logos would be the star, and the sub logos would be our planet, and then we would be sub logos. And so that energy is, it's kind of going down, and then the energy within the galaxy itself is coming from, the cosmos, or eventually all the way up to the one infinite creator. And so that's how it goes. And it may also lend credence to the idea of grounding work, where people say take off their shoes and walk in the grass, and then they're really connecting with the earth and then letting that energy flow. Whereas having some rubber in between, while it may not make a big difference, it's worth trying. It's worth trying. Just some barefoot walking, and see if it helps you feel better, because it could help with your kind of red ray activation there. Here we'll go for another one. 2009, 1013. Consequently, you cannot, unfortunately, for the peace of your life and your mind, open first the red ray chakra, then the orange, then the yellow, then the green, then work with the throat and work on communication, and then move into work in consciousness. That would be, in general, the direction of your spiritual life. However, always, every day, you must look back to the red ray chakra and begin all over again, because it is likely that within the compass of the day, you've had triggers in those first three chakras. And so the idea is here that we can't just focus on the top of the tree, like many wanderers, unfortunately, get in the habit of doing. We also have to work on those lower ones as well, like the survival, and the orange, and the yellow, and we'll cover those. And so basically every day, set aside some time to think about, uh, declare, yes, I love life. And think about what you're grateful for, and like that prayer, thank you God for our food, that we do at the table, at the breakfast table, for instance. That is a good affirmation. Gratitude for having that survival. And if you're in a family, if you have children, then you've kind of satisfied your sexual red ray aspect there, or if you have a spouse, that kind of stuff. So yeah. And here what we'll do, another 1997, 0119. The first center we will simply summarize has to do with issues of life and death, breathing, eating, and sexual polarities. These are the concerns of red ray. The concerns of the next, orange ray, are those that the person has with himself or herself, and the person in relationship with one other person. Here, I wanted to talk about some more of these triggers that happen in the compass of the day. And for instance, oftentimes in the media, and like say you're watching the news, and then they tell you like there's been a shooting, or some other horrific atrocity, either in your neighborhood or somewhere else. This could lead to feelings of fear, and fear for your survival. And then once you get into that fight or flight mode, that starts to constrain the root chakra. And so it's good to be vigilant of those kinds of phenomenon, and redeclare that all is well and all will be well, to allow that red ray to stay open. And there's another aspect here that it says you can only translate or transmute the fear into love in your heart. And so having that, all those chakras activated, and then when you have a fear that comes up, you can use your heart to translate that into love and kindness. And to give an example, for instance, if someone is afraid of, well, let's say Putin, and then one can, when they open their heart, they have everything active, then they recognize, you know what, this entity also has the spark of the divine within them, and that we can love that entity too. And so, and that allows us to transcend that fear and get into that space of love. And if we need to create a safe space for us, we can do that too, and we can talk to our relatives or those people around us and neighborhoods, and help do that. And the focus there is not to do it in a fear-based way, but to do it in a love-based way of providing for each other, and joyfulness and gladness. Okay, so I want to pass it off to Josh.
Thank you, Andre. Appreciate you sharing those great quotes. I have a few more for you guys to share on the red ray. So this quote here is from 2002 from Quo, and it deals with unblocking the red ray center. I'm Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. We would recommend, in the meditative state, at the end of your day or during a portion of your day where you have time to relax and reflect, that you look at the blockage as it has been experienced in your daily round of activities. Within the meditative state, then look at the experience which represents to you the blockage of the red ray center. Relive that experience, allowing it to fill your being, and then in a natural fashion allow that image to dissipate and allow its opposite to emerge into your consciousness, so that you see it with the same intensity that you saw the blockages to begin with. Allow this image to continue for as long as you feel comfortable. Then see both the blockage and its balance as means by which the Creator may know itself through you, and accept yourself for having both as means for the Creator to know itself in your being. Repeat this exercise upon a daily basis for as long as is necessary for the blockage to be resolved. So right there, Quo is telling us how to unblock the red ray, but is also describing the balancing exercise that is used for anything that is out of balance, that needs balancing, any of the chakras or any other things out of balance in your life. The Confederation over and over again details that process. So, for example, in your own world, I'm just trying to think of one thing. Let's, say there's someone trying to kill you, right? That's red ray survival, and you need to stay alive. And they're attacking you. they're you have to defend yourself and so on. You put you put yourself in that state of fear, flight or fight, and picture that to the extreme mentally in a meditative state. Ruminate, I guess, or imagine it as vividly and extreme as you can. Kind of see it to its limit. Then picture the opposite. So, instead of someone trying to kill you and you running away, I don't think they want you to picture you killing them. But maybe the opposite of fear and defense. But imagine peace, getting along with that person, having no issues with them at all, everything being cool, and you're not in a flight or fight scenario. Envision the opposite of you being afraid for your life. Envision, feeling great in your life, and specifically with that situation, with that person or so on that you've imagined in the first go round. So it's kind of seems to me like putting out those two images in your mind out into the universe. You're taking a -5 and +5, and they make 0 when you add them together. So you're trying to recenter, rebalance the scales of the energy around you, because even though we know we want to get rid of negative energy, overbalanced positive can lead to issues as well. So the real goal is maintaining that center point, that 0 state, as far as extremes and catalysts and behaviors and so on. All right, next quote here, 2007. That which tends to block red ray is a level of depression that argues against life and the joy of life, and difficulties with sexuality. Because of the fact that the red ray deals with matters of survival and sexuality, those who are limping along with no true appreciation of life are going to be limiting the flow of energy into their very first chakra, therefore receiving into the heart only a fraction of the power or energy that is available from the Creator. So here touches on the topic I think it was Bill had mentioned, the importance of your love for life, your zest for life, your happiness of being here, the fact you're not suicidal, you're not anti being alive here. So that's that's another instance of blocked red ray, as they're saying. So, and that can, whether it's depression, suicidalness tendencies, lack of joy, and to balance that, with the opposites, super sexual, super happy, super joyful, and so on, not depressed. And to bring it back, so you don't want to be depressive, you don't want to be manic, you want to be stable. And like it says, that same metaphor of kind of like squeezing a straw. Yeah, you could still sip your drink, suck the liquid up through the straw as you're drinking in a cup, but if you're pinching it at the bottom, the red ray, or is going to be very difficult, require a lot of force, and you to exert pretty strongly to get the drink. And relieving that blockage, will allow, as they say, the energy from the Creator to flow up into the heart. And my last quote here I have is from 1996. The second density red ray, which is the environment which your body enjoys selects those entities which may aid it in promulgating the species and then creating a safe place in which to bring up young. The third density red ray energy adds to that the energies of self-conscious love, which opens the energy up to embrace all, male and female, which takes that red ray and chooses to allow it to flow naturally, not only in the act of sex, but in the act of living. So I think they're just describing the difference between red ray and second density and third density, and how for us here in third density, it incorporates, as it says, self-conscious love, that allows the energy, that red ray energy, to expand past, reproduction and survival through of their species and lineage through sexual reproduction, and that from second density to now incorporate, the love in the act of sex, and not strictly as an animal would do it for procreation, and also, as they mentioned, it throughout your everyday life and it certainly plays a crucial role in the sexual energy transfer, which is another major topic that could be its own chapter here, which is very important throughout the raw contact, the sexual energy transfer. Of course, incorporating the red ray, but activates and utilizes the higher rays and chakras to transfer the energy from one entity who has a surplus to another entity who might be in need of some of those energies. It's kind of like if you have two pipes and you connect them, or if you're siphoning, gas out of a gas tank in a car to a bucket lower down, you're transferring what's present here into what's negative or lacking there. And through the act of sex, and it flows through the red ray from one entity into the other, and then will rise up to where the energy is needed and able to reach in the other entity. Another thing that could be said, I don't have it directly in a quote here, but certainly I think Ra had touched upon the behavior in red ray sex of domination and submission between male and female. Either way, is an outward expression of the inward red ray blockage or unbalance that that entity, maybe expressing these behaviors due to either past lifetimes of kind of red ray karma, you could say, of things that have colored the aura of the entity to have this innate trait or catalyst that they're here to maybe work out and balance. It's just it could be seen as an indicator if of a red ray blockage, potentially, if it's an issue or causing any issues, I guess. All right. At this time, that's all I have for my quotes, and I'll hand it over to Bill.
Thank you, Josh. And as usual, I just want to remind the viewer that our quotes are in the below the video in the in the video that we present. All right, from Kuo, September 14, 2019, it says, normally speaking, the red ray is a ray which does not have a variable nature of expression. That is to say, it is normally fixed in its quality of beingness, that being the survival of the entity and the reproduction of entities. However, it is indeed quite possible to block the red ray in either of those expressions of its basic nature. The blockage is most usually accomplished by the entity in its conscious nature, in which there would be seen a threat to the well-being of the physical or mental complexes of the entity. This fear consciousness then can indeed render the red ray blocked in a fashion which prohibits further movement of the prana, or the love and light of the one creator, through its energy center. So basically this just says the red ray is a straightforward, they call it, does not have a variable nature of expression. It's just survival and the entity and reproduction of an entity. And the main way it gets blocked is when you're consciously in fear. But in this quote, it points out both physically and mentally. So, and here's a quote that kind of deals on red ray survival. And it's La Lima, September 22nd, 1985. It says, when an entity is in possession of mental despair and has not moved from that dynamic into a productive mode of thinking, analyzing, feeling, and acting, that despair becomes incorporated within the body complex. Thence comes disease and ultimately death. Therefore, the wages of continued despair are the death of the body. Now, this quote doesn't actually mention red ray, but it's talking about possession of mental despair, which is a red ray thing. It can also kind of be a little orange ray too, but but ultimately, if you're too depressed mentally, continual despair, this is kind of, thence comes disease and ultimately death. So, we got to be careful about our, happiness levels, our depressions. It's a very, you start, if you're feeling that way all the time, you may very well be putting into motion disease, harm yourself, and it can be very costly to you. So, be happy, don't be in mental despair. And the last quote I have is from April 9th, 1995, Kuo, and it says, the amount of sheer energy vibrating betwixt earth and physical vehicle is astounding, yet it cannot be acknowledged and used nearly so well by one who is working upon upper chakras, unless that entity has the patience, the humility, and the determination to come into contact with that earth, that soil of life. For that sexual identity is as powerful and as completely unique a part of the individual spirit or soul has any other incarnationally expressed energy. This is the energy which creates a healthy plant, a healthy body, the energy that gives a primal yes to being. This is, moreover, has all energies, a sacred, a holy energy, and the sexual intercourse has the Eucharist of red ray, the holy communion of the body. This union recapitulates, we correct this instrument, recapitulates the oneness of earth and sky, the oneness of male and female, the oneness of reaching and waiting. So they were talking about how sexual intercourse is a holy communion, or can be. and it unites energies. It unites earth and sky, male, female, reaching and waiting, the energies of the male and female, and these other energies. So it's really interesting how they described it as the Eucharist of red ray, and it's also, we really want to be careful if we're always just working in our upper chakras, that the Confederation constantly tells us that we need to come back down into, be grounded and make sure you're in contact with the earth, the soil, and the other energies at the very root level of the red ray. So it's always important to keep everything open. And the red ray is where it starts. And that's all I have. And on to you, Andrii.
Thank you, Bill. So I wanted to do this segment on red ray sexuality and relationships. And so here, 1983, 0828, it has been found through many experiments with various third density illusions that the journey to adepthood is best accomplished by those entities of the mated relationship. For in such a relationship, the universe in wholeness is made available to each as each refines the red ray which began the relationship. So, let me just unpack that a bit. The mated relationship is kind of any kind of sexual relationship. And what they mean by the red ray energy, which began the relationship, that is referring to that initial physical attraction that you may have had when you first saw your spouse and you're like, oh, they're so beautiful, or they're so hot, or something like that. The key ingredient in this journey is the honesty of the sharing of self with other self. For it is necessary in your illusion that perception be as clear as possible in order for catalyst to be utilized as efficiently as possible. And now this is referring to honesty and clear communication. We're going to cover that more when we cover the Blu-ray. You live within an illusion in which perception is most difficult upon a level of clarity which speeds your evolution. It is therefore necessary that the highest degree of clarity be sought and be utilized by each entity. If the relationship were, for example, of a serial nature, it would be much more difficult for the trust to build the foundation of honesty, for it takes what you call time for that trust to develop. And for those clear communication, we will definitely cover that more in the Blu-ray chapter. Here I'm going to talk a little bit. I've got another great quote on sexuality and how it is in our society in relation to the red ray. 2009, 0425. In some personalities, the openness of the heart is such that the particular personality is almost incapable of expressing the self without the green ray aspect. However, this is not the case for the majority of entities who engage in sexual congress. It is to be remembered that your present experience of sexuality has heavy cultural overlays which encourage the value of sexuality remaining firmly in the red. Okay, so what this is saying is that some people, when they have a sexual experience with their spouse, they can open their red ray and orange ray and yellow ray and green ray and possibly higher chakras. So they're activating multiple chakras as they are having sexual congress. Whereas the majority of people do not. And then it goes on to explain, your mass media are full of advertisements of the glories of lust, the beauties of youth, and the shallowest possible conception of sexual energy exchange. And that is referring to like when, they're advertising, someone's physical characteristics as the main aspect. Further, there are the inevitable conflicts that arise when one attempts to deepen a relationship which is sexual. The tendencies for an unevenness of affection are substantial. The tendencies for an unevenness of desire, as far as how deep the relationship is desired to go, are also those which tend towards an unevenness. It is rare that two entities want precisely the same thing in terms of how deep the relationship shall go, which commitments are made one to the other, and so forth. These things tend to be notably uneven and mismatched. Consequently, progress through red ray, orange ray, and yellow ray expressions of sexuality to the open heart of green ray almost always involves a decision to set the intention to make that happen. And so what it's saying is that, say, for instance, this is one of the mass media sexuality things we have is like an app called Tinder, which is for one night stands. And it is not kind of meant for establishing a deep personal relationship. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. But in the general case, these are very shallow relationships. And so if you do want to have, say, form a long-term relationship where you can have, multiple chakra orgasms, not just a red ray orgasm, you want to have all 7 chakras, then, you're going to need, or at least, the 6 that are actively used, then you're going to need a partner who is willing to also use those things. So you're going to need like a partner who is, into spirituality and sexuality and finding like that match. It is possible, like with Matthew 7:7, ask and ye shall receive. And so that's what they're saying, is that you need to set the intention to make it happen. You have to ask for it to happen in order for it to happen. I know a lot of people who they said they were looking for a relationship for a long time, and then they were on that relationship round robin where it's like, no, this person isn't right, that person isn't right. So what I recommend to these people is you do some meditation, figure out, what do I want in my ideal spouse, or an acceptable spouse anyways, and then write it down, type it out, whatever, and then have that list ready, and then say, yes, I am ready for this, I allow this to happen, come into my life. And then listen to the spirit. The spirit might say, go over there or join that dating website, or something like that. And then just to give that opportunity for that connection to occur, and then be open to it happening. And then when it happens, recognize, this is what I asked for, and then commit to it. Because relationships, they can be difficult. For certain, they will be difficult, because we are like two diamonds in the rough. And then in the process of having a relationship, those diamonds in the rough are rubbing against each other, and then they're rubbing off those imperfections, and that can be a very painful process. And so you might be with this person, and you may be in a bunch of like emotional pain or something, because it seems like it's happening over and over again. And that oftentimes, I mean, obviously sometimes, yes, the appropriate, like if there's physical abuse or something, or if your life is in danger, then yeah, leave. But if it's not like that, if it's just kind of like you're annoyed with them, like they're just getting to you, or you're just not interested anymore, that kind of stuff, then oftentimes there you can go within, and you can figure out like how you can purify yourself to help love that other person, because that other person is the one infinite creator. They have all of that infinite potential. And if you really want to have a relationship, one of the most important things is to remember to worship God together, or the one infinite creator. And then once you have two or more people in say a place or that are worshiping God together, then they are forming a social memory complex, and then that is a pure relationship. Like in the Bible, it says that God joins man and woman together. God is the third member of the relationship, and sometimes your wife or your husband or whatever isn't going to be perfect. They're not going to be perfect. They're not going to meet all of your needs, whether they be physical or sexual or emotional or social or whatever they are, but God can meet all of your needs, right? And so you pray to God and allow God to be part of your relationship, and a central aspect of it. Don't be upset with your partner for not meeting your needs. Instead, ask for God, and be grateful for what you do get from your partner. And that's kind of the growth there. Okay, one more here. This is from session 87 of the law of one material. I am Ra. We must make clear distinctions between the yellow ray third density chemical bodily complex and the body complex, which is a portion of the mind body spirit complex. The male, as you call this polarity, has an extremely active yellow ray desire at the space time in its incarnation, when its sperm is the most viable and full of life giving spermata. Thusly, the red ray seeks to reproduce most thickly at the time when the body is most able to fulfill the red ray requirements. And so, what this means is that basically people, especially males, are the most horny, say during the ages of 15 to 35, because, well, as it explains, they're capable of reproducing, and they have good genetic material. Whereas, after the age of 35, the genetic material is not as good. And so usually the sexuality or libido tends to taper off. Okay, here's another. And I am Ra. We refer now to that yellow ray physical body, or if you will, body complex. At this level of distinction is unimportant. The male orgasm, which motivates the sperm forward to meet its ovum, is essential for the completion of the red ray desire to propagate the species. The female orgasm is unnecessary. Again, as mind body spirit complexes begin to use the sexual energy transfer to learn, to serve, and to glorify the one infinite creator, the function of the female orgasm becomes clear. So, what this is saying is that basically, for just satisfying that physical red ray desire of, say, wanting to have children, that's the kind of the body wants to propagate and to have children. And so that is sufficient with the male orgasming and with the sperm going to the ovum or whatever. Whereas when you are in a relationship with your spouse and you're activating those higher chakras and you are worshiping God together and you're reaching those like 6 chakra orgasms, where you're connecting with the divine, all that is, and you're kind of giving the joy of your moment and donating it to the creator and helping raise the vibration of the earth. That's a spiritual phenomenon, and while you're still having intercourse, it's not quite for the same reason. It's not for reproductive. It's a higher chakra level of orgasmic bliss, and that's certainly in the cards for you if you want it to be, if you set that intention as I talked about earlier. All right. Okay. So I'm going to pass it on
We're
to.
almost out of time here.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
almost out of time here.
Yeah.
So the red ray is survival, sexuality, lust. There's, controlling others. That starts to sexually controlling others, starts to go into the orange ray. And I think we're just about out of time. So I'm just going to run the outro if that's okay with you guys.
Oh, we actually have. Oh, yeah, you're right. We are almost out of time.
All right. We end this session and are grateful to the audience for viewing this video. In this teaching experiment, we have attempted to learn a topic as a social memory complex that is unified, harmonious, and full of unconditional love. Which characteristics are extremely important to us because we resonate with the Confederation philosophy and believe we are, as humanity, forming and becoming a loving, unified, and harmonious social memory complex from planet Earth. We hope this teaching experiment will give one knowledge that will help one see the love in the moment, will help one open their heart more and more clearly see the unity of all. We thank you all, and please know that we love each other